The speeches, I looked around this wonderful room, and I know we'll have a chance to see some of the other rooms in this state-of-the-art Boys and Girls Club, number 2,000 Boys and Girls Club. I thought to myself, I see all that steel, I see all that cinder block work and electrical work and air conditioning work, and it takes about this much stuff to make a jail. Scott, what do you say? And that's what we've been doing too much of in recent years. We've been using this kind of material and treasure to build jails to put our children in eventually. No other civilized nation in the world has as many people in jail as we have in jail. So we need more mentors. We need more places like this where the community comes together and says to the young people of the community, and especially in this neighborhood here, we care about you. Because you see, what these young people are seeing, not just a nice place to play basketball or in the computer room to run a software program. They don't see steel and cinder blocks alone. What they see are people who care about them. What they see are people who love them. What they see are people who have expectations of them and about them and will not let them fail. We do not have anything more important to do than to protect youngsters like this and put them on the road to success. The choice is very simple. We either build our children or we build more jails. It's time to stop building jails and get back to what we know how to do as Americans, and that's to build our children.
You already know, but this is Jameel Clain from the New York Giants. So let's give him a little.
What position do you play?
I'm gonna step.
You always knew you was my girl, right? That's me. What's your next game?
Play Houston at home.
Texans?
Yeah.
Oh, that's an easy game.
Nothing is easy. I promise you. So what are y'all doing, man?
Waiting for a computer.
Yeah.
Internet.
So do homework?
Yeah.
So what's this like? This is y'all work group?
Yeah.
So y'all study part?
No, he's in 6th grade.
He's in 6th. They're in 7th. You in 7th?
I'm done. Wait, tell us stand up, show me how. Tell us stand up.
No, I wasn't saying it like that.
Tell us stand up. Stand up straight.
And
He's in 7th grade. Stand up.
And you in 6th?
7.
You in 7th? That's crazy. I was like the same height when I was in 6th grade. Like I didn't grow since 6th grade.
I told everyone
I must do the same thing.
He stays the same way.
I stayed the same every day.
No, he stays the same way since like 3rd grade.
From 3rd grade, I've been 80 pounds and I'm still 80 pounds.
Oh, that's crazy. You're going to love that when you get 45. Trust me. You're going to love that.
So how old are you?
Huh?
How old are you?
I'm 29. Is that older young?
That's young.
That's young?
Oh my God.
Will you still in your 20s? So next year I'm not going to be young.
How are you?
Good, man. How are you?
I'm great. I'm an avid football fan.
Perfect. Perfect. Yeah.
I followed your career when you were in Baltimore.
Oh, thank you. Oh, see.
Congrats on your ring.
Thank you. Thank you.
No problem.
I need
Should
another
have brought the
one.
ring with you.
Well, I mean, the next time I come, I'm going to break my ring. Is that cool?
Yeah.
All right.
Do you have a highlight reel?
Do I have a highlight reel?
In his pocket.
He made some good tackles on Sundays, man.
I got some somewhere, but I don't keep it around.
Like, what's it called? Like,
Like somebody could post it like a YouTube or something.
They could post it on YouTube.
Like highlights, you know, like.
Yeah, sometimes people do stuff like that, but I don't keep it myself. I'm not big on highlights. I'm a simple guy. Let me see what everybody else is talking about. Oh, we definitely gonna get a picture.
Exactly.
What's your name?
Exactly. Put on
Chris?
social media. Exactly. And bring your work page.
Thank you for having me. I'm looking forward to making new friends.
It's a good friend to have, indeed.
What do we got? What do we got? What y'all doing?
You sure about that? Yes. Some of the people over there kind of like
Janelle? Good. Oh, so you're not going to say anything. Senator, nice to meet you. So what is it that y'all working on? No one can tell me what we're doing.
So what am I used to be you're a giant. They used to be able to use circle chart to write an illustration and you running time. I'm
Everything all right. Good. Thanks for having me.
Proud to have
Thanks for having me. Sitting relaxing. I'm learning about the studies, man.
All right. These guys are some good friends to make, man.
They're the good ones to make?
Yeah.
Oh, so y'all will be the ones that's going to help me get by in class if I was here. Yeah. So we got more kids coming, right?
Well, I think the football team was just going to stop through on their way to
Just stop through on their way through?
Yeah, I don't know if you had time to go to the field because they actually have practice today.
Where's the field at?
The field is maybe about 4 blocks away.
4 blocks?
Yeah. 4 Baltimore blocks.
4 Baltimore blocks. Now, I'm from Philly, so 4 Philly blocks.
Well, 8 Philly blocks.
8 Philly blocks. I'm there. If they stop by, I'm down. If they listening, I'm talking.
Okay.
I'm good.
Oh, hi, Rambo.
Oh, it's okay. How you doing? Oh, that's your team? So now I'm in there. We gonna be hard. He's doing good. I just talked to him earlier. That's perfect.
Wait, Janelle,
What's up, man? Jameel, how are you? Number 21? Cornerback. See, you smart man. You gave me everything. What's your name? Nice. Who's this you play? Defensive end, tight end. Very nice. To like be in front of people and like meet people or to ask them how they got where they got. I remember specifically I got one opportunity and it was by the name of a guy named Al Wallace. I actually was in a program identical to this, and Al Wallace came in the same year that I came in, and he spoke to us. You know, he came, he dedicated his time. I grew up in Philadelphia, so at the time he played for the Eagles, and I can specifically remember saying to myself 2 things. The first thing I said is Al Wallace came here to dedicate his time to come talk to us, to come show us, and nobody paid attention. Unlike y'all all are so in tune. Y'all are listening. So I took that one thing away. The second thing I took away was no one asked Al Wallace any questions. No one asked Al, how did he get where he get? No one asked Al, what was the worst thing you ever been through? No one asked Al, what made you choose that team? Or what made you choose that university? So I raised to y'all this opportunity for y'all to ask me any questions. I am as open of a book as they get. In my journey, I've come through so many different paths. It'll be easy for y'all to gather anything from me. So I'm gonna go to the first question that you gave me. What was that again?
Well, how did you come to know you wanted to play football? Or was that something that you wanted to do all your life?
The way that I came to know that I wanted to play football, actually originally I started off boxing. You know, I was big into boxing. You know, when I boxed with like 4 of those people now are professional boxers, and 2 of them went to the Olympics. So boxing was going to be my thing. But football was just as simple as a stroke of luck. One day my brother was going to football practice, and he was like, man, just come to football practice, I was like, man, I ain't no football player. But I went, and fortunately enough, I was good. You know, I actually started off on JV. JV was the first thing that I got into. You know, so I came into football that way. I fell in love with football when I found out all of the opportunities that it had. Because, you know, I grew up in North Philadelphia. You know, I grew up with just my mother at the time. You know, my father, he was incarcerated all of my life. You know, he got out when I was about 18, 19. You know, so football became an avenue for me to go to college, for me to do all of those things. And my neighborhood kids weren't thinking about school. Like, they were thinking about how to get the quick money, you know, how to just get ahead right now. But me, I always start longer. Like, I always start longevity. Like, I always knew that where I was right now didn't dictate where I was going to be at the end of the day. So football created that passion. It gave me that drive. And it gave me the opportunity to think bigger than what everybody around me thought and what I knew I could think. So that was a great question.
How did you stay away from the gangs?
How did I stay away from the gangs? Oh, man. This story is so simple, but it was so hard at the time. When I was young, my brothers, they got a job, and they worked with the government. My uncle gave them a job with the government. It was like a summer job, and they were making, like, at this time, they were making about $500 a week. And to me, like, at that time, it was crazy. And when I was young, I wasn't the best of the kids. You know, I didn't do everything the right way. I didn't always follow orders. But at that young age, my uncle instilled in me something that was the most important thing that I ever took out of life. My uncle told me, you like this job that they get. And you know why they got this job? Because they did everything right. They did the right things and they stayed out of trouble. So he said, Jameel, if you stay on this trend, you can't get this job. There's no way that I can get you this job if you get into trouble. So as simple as that. I didn't do anything. Like, I was squeaky clean. Like, I stayed away from everyone. I stayed exactly where I was supposed to be. I did what was necessary just so I could get this government job at this point. But guess what happened with the job? Well, who knows what happened with that summer job? Did I ever get it? Did I ever get the summer job? Yes, no, maybe.
No funding?
No, I never got the summer job. Why didn't I get the summer job? Because ultimately, my preparation to prepare for that job put me on to something even better than that job. I ended up getting a college scholarship. It put me in the direction to become a better football player. It took me out of trouble so I could focus on my craft completely. So I say that to say, we all got to set goals. We all got to set goals for ourselves. And my goal was small. It's so silly. Like, it wasn't silly, but it was important. But my goal was just to get this job. But ultimately, that small goal took me to where I am now. And without that small goal, I promise you, I assure you, I would never be standing in front of you. My story would not be interesting because it would just be mine all to myself in another direction. So, great question.
Did you always want to be a linebacker?
Did I always want to be a linebacker? No, I didn't want to be no linebacker. I wanted all of the glory, man. I wanted to be a running back. You know, I wanted to be a tight end, but unfortunately, my hands aren't that amazing. You know, but the one thing I did have in my favor was I was aggressive, and I learned that from boxing. So linebacker seemed to be the #1 thing to me, and so that's how I came into linebacker. But I didn't always want to be. You know, guys over here have a question.
How do you deal with injuries that occur?
How do you deal with injuries? Oh my goodness. What's your name again? Janelle. She said something that I just take so complete in stride in this game. She said that she plays lacrosse, but she plays on concrete. Right. And I'm used to lacrosse being on grass. So I said, what do you do when you fall? She's like, we just get back up. That's how you deal with injuries. That's how you deal with obstacles. That's how you deal with adversity. That's how I have dealt with all of those things. I just get back up. And I understand. And you know when you get back up, all right, so if you're on the ground right now, and you can look up, and it's a crowded room full of people, how do you get back up? Just imagine yourself literally on the ground. Like, how do you get back up off the ground? How do you get up off the ground?
Get back up proud and bright.
How do you get up off the ground? Same way as up. That's how you get back up. The problem with most people, when they're on the ground like this, they're doing this the whole time. What is this? Asking for help. Hell no, man, come on, get up. You gotta get up. You gotta push yourself. You gotta pick yourself up. You gotta want it more than anyone else.
Right.
You gotta know that. And you said it. It's as simple as falling down in lacrosse on concrete. When I promise you, kids 50 miles away from you, they're not playing on concrete. So when they fall, it's a little easier for them to get up. For you, you're used to falling hard. You all are used to falling hard. So when you get up, know that you have a whole nother advantage. And don't ever hold your hand out. Most of the time, it ain't gonna be no one there. And the other question.
How did you feel when you made it to the NFL?
How did I feel when I made it to the NFL? When I made it to the NFL, it was the most amazing thing that I've accomplished at that point. Because anybody know what an undrafted free agent is? Yeah. Undrafted free agent. I was an undrafted free agent. So basically I walked on, and I didn't originally start with the New York Giants. I started with the Baltimore Ravens. And when I walked in, it was like 20 linebackers there. And I mean, when I say 20, I mean, I'm not exaggerating. It was 20 linebackers. And they was like, it's no way this guy is making this team. Like, we got Ray Lewis, we got Bart Scott, we got Jerry Johnson. Like, we're set. We don't need him. And I made it. And not only did I make it, I thrived my first year. I mean, my first play in the NFL was a sack safety on Jamarcus Russell. I mean, like, my first time stepping on the field, it was my first play. So how did I feel doing it? It was the best feeling in the world to me, because I know it was a product of my hard work, but it was also a product of the lessons that I learned from so many people before me. Because I'm just going to be honest, I wasn't the most athletic guy. You know what I mean? I just wasn't. Like, I wasn't the fastest. You know, I was pretty strong. But the one thing I did have over everybody else is that example that I gave y'all. You know, when I was down or when I've seen bad things or I went through bad things, I always got myself up and I always pushed myself. So the feeling of making it to the NFL, to me, it was just a feeling of accomplishing something that I worked so hard and so many other people worked so hard to either show me in a positive way, or so many people made so many mistakes that they showed me in a negative way what not to do. So, thank you.
Did you feel sad when you didn't go drafted?
Did I feel sad when I didn't go undrafted? You know what? I was sad. I was sad for a little bit. I was not sad, but I was disappointed because I knew I put in enough time that, you know, I probably could have been in other people's position. But that went and passed very fast because I understood that it was work all over again. I got knocked down all over again. I got knocked down. And I said to myself, whatever, Jameel, you got to go out there and do what you got to do. You got to show these people you belong. You got to fight for your respect all over. I always say, seek respect, not attention. It's so weird, man, because in this world, they always ask us to ask for attention. They ask us to put on tweets and see how many likes you got. To go on Instagram and see how many likes you got. It's attention, that's attention, that's attention. I fight for respect. When I leave here, I want y'all to respect me as a person, as a man, to understand that I'm not just a football player. I'm a man that went through a journey. And I'm willing to share it with y'all like I want y'all to share every story y'all have with someone else. Next year, tomorrow, the next day. Because ultimately, how do any of us get any better if we all keep our secrets to ourselves? So, once again.
Any advice about the domestic abuse problems that are happening in the NFL? Any comments?
I don't know, man. You ask a question that a lot of people are asking right now in this situation, when it's a question that we all have asked before these scenarios happen. I can't really speak directly to all of that, because like I say, I stay in my lane, I stay in my place, and that's not my place and that's not my lane. So, that's my answer for that.
What was your inspiration, and do you still have that same inspiration?
Who was my inspiration, and do I still have that same inspiration? I've drawn inspiration from so many people that I would be misleading you if I pointed to one person You know what I mean? Like I'm one of those people where if I see someone get the short end of the stick, I'm motivated by him. So I'm like, man, I got to do it for him. You know what I mean? Or I see my uncle working in the job, you know what I mean, day in and day out. I'm like, man, I got to do it for him because I get to do something that I love, so why not go hard? You know what I mean? Or I see someone that just didn't make it at all. And I say to myself, man, I got to do it for them because they didn't get the chance. So now when they get to talk to the people that they know, they can say, yo, I was with Jameel. Like, it was that easy. Like, I seen it. So I draw inspiration from so many places that I couldn't even pick one thing. Like, I'm simple. Like, I walk down, if I was walking in here right now, you know what I mean? I gave the analogy before. Like, if I was walking and I was on a carpet and the carpet tripped me and I fell, like, I would get up and be like, man, that carpet ain't tripping me again. I promise you, I ain't playing no games with this carpet. I know exactly where I fell. It ain't happening. Like, I'm a simple dude. I just draw from everything. Anybody else got something?
When did you get your first starting spot?
When did I get my first starting spot? We talking like high school, we talking like NFL? Anywhere? Yeah, I got my first starting spot on JV. I mean, my freshman year in high school. That was my first starting spot. Then the next year, I got my next starting spot in high school. Then once I got to college, I got my next starting spot probably about my sophomore year. And then in the NFL, I got my first starting spot in probably like towards the end of my rookie year. So, and then after that, just left the road.
When you got traded, did you have to move here?
Huh?
Did you have to live here once you got traded?
Yeah, when I got traded, I do live here. You know, I live not technically in New York. I live in Weehawken, New Jersey. You know, but when I got traded, we did have to move and come here. Me and my beautiful girlfriend that she was recording. What brought me here was the opportunity to talk to some amazing kids that are fighting in the direction that I believe in. You know, I believe in putting in time outside of the time that's already required. You know, so that's really in a nutshell what brought me here. You know, it's no grand gesture or no anything. Like, as simple as me just walking through the hall and being like, yo, what's up? You know what I mean? Like, it was just that simple.
You got a question right here. You can't see him.
I can't see
He's
it.
over here waiting.
Yeah, I good.
Are you happy with playing with Eli Manning?
Am I happy with playing with Eli Manning? Huh? Yeah, he is a sports journalist. He got the good one. I am happy with playing with him, man. I get the opportunity to play with a man that's had so much success in his league that I can't do anything but learn from him, you know. So I am happy with playing with him. He is a phenomenal quarterback, you know, and it's a great experience for me. Yes, I am.
What are you expecting? What are your expectations?
My expectations for this year is always like my expectations are every year. My expectations is for us and myself to be better than we were last year. That's the only thing I ever aspire for, is just to be better than we ever were, or be better than I was before.
What did you study in college?
What did I study in college? Now we get into the good stuff. In college, I had a dual major. I studied communications and rhetorical studies, and I also studied sociology. I had a dual major in communications and sociology from Syracuse University, from anybody that didn't hear me mention it before.
When you got into the league, was there somebody who mentioned you that helped formulate your league?
Good question, man. When I got into the league, was there someone that mentored me? It was, man, and I want to say I had about 3 guys. Brendan Iambadejo, he was the first guy to actually take me under his wing. And Brendan Iambadejo, he probably was like one of the best special teams players to play, you know, especially at that time. So because he knew I had to get in through special teams. And then next, Bart Scott was a big mentor of mine back in that time in Baltimore. And last but not least, someone who's still a mentor to me to this day, Ed Reed. You know, Ed Reed was someone that I always went to, and I mean, even as simple as at the end of the game, like we'll talk, and he'll be like, Matt, this is what I see, you know, and Ed is just a phenomenal guy that I've been blessed enough to have in my life, and those are the people that I was able to go to when I was in the league, and I still go to right now. Yes.
How was it playing with Ray Lewis for all those years, playing beside him?
You asked me the question that we hear all the time. I thought you were asking me something good. How was it playing with Ray Lewis?
That's what they want to know. Just
all right, everybody wants to know what it's like to play with Ray Lewis. It was amazing. I mean, as much passion as you see on TV, as much passion and drive that you see in commercials, that's Ray in a nutshell. But the biggest thing I got from Ray Lewis was two things. Ray always spoke about the name on the back of the jersey. He believed that we all are a product from somewhere. You know what I mean? So, what's your last name? What's your last name? Okay. What's your last name? What's your last name? What's your last name? We all represent something. We all represent something, and we all come from something. And Ray believed in representing that name to the fullest. So if you think about that in everything that you do, and that's what he instilled in me, if you think about that name 24/7 in the classroom, on the football field, or even in the streets, if you think about that name. Because that name is going to go tag along with everything that you do. Everything that you do. So talking about your name is everything. And he also taught me about studying. He also taught me ways to study the game that a lot of people don't look at. You know, how to put myself in perfect positions. So, but playing with Ray was one of the most amazing things. And coming up, he was my idol. You know what I mean? So to get the chance, it's like playing basketball and getting the chance to play with Jordan. You went all for a second, like, oh, this Jordan. Like, seriously? I'm kicking it with Jordan? You know what I mean? But it was an amazing experience in that.
Do you believe that that the Giants will go to the Super Bowl again this year?
I believe it. I believe it. If I don't believe it, who else will? I gotta believe in my journey. You believe it? Yeah, man. It ain't never how you start, it's how you finish. And anybody that tell you anything different, go through the record books. It's always how you finish. So I do believe it.